This is the most evil, the most disturbing, and the darkest episode we have ever released on the Shawn Ryan Show. It has to do with predators who are preying sexually on children. Ryan Montgomery, the #1 ranked ethical hacker in the world, has dedicated his life to hacking into these websites and exposing the predators who are preying on our children to the world. And he has thousands and thousands of names now that he's releasing. This is going to save a lot of kids, and I want you to share this with everybody you know. The public needs to be informed of this. And here's how the kids are going to be saved, because everybody says, oh, share my stuff, right? Here's how they'll be saved. Every parent that watches this will smarten up on what their kid's doing on the internet. Every kid that watches this is going to smarten up and become aware of how prevalent this stuff is on the internet. And every one of you predators that's watching this, it's going to put the fear of God into you, because when you're caught, you will be humiliated and hopefully in prison.
Amen.
That's how this is going to save these kids. People are going to smarten up. They're going to realize this is everywhere. This is on every social media platform, every chat room, everywhere you go on the internet. These people are hanging out. And unfortunately, we have to fight censorship here, because here's one thing. These predators have a lot of powerful people throughout the world, in government, in Hollywood, all over the place, that are sticking up for this community. So we've done everything we possibly can to avoid censorship. We have demonetized it ourselves. This isn't about money. This isn't about advertising. This is about saving kids, and that's it. So we've demonetized the video ourselves. We've pulled footage. We've bleeped every bad word on this video in hopes that it does not get censored, because the masses and the people need to watch this now. This is a battle between good and evil, and I can tell you right now, good is losing, unless people like you start to stand up and get loud about this subject. This isn't about politics. This isn't even about the country. This is about kids all over the world. This is happening. Please pay attention and share this with everyone you know. If you want to see the unedited stuff, it'll be on my Patreon, and it will be on Rumble in a few days. In Patreon, like I said, we demonetize this one. You alone are who's making this possible. So thank you for the support, because if it wasn't for you, this wouldn't be happening. With that being said, I want to just say, Ryan Montgomery, I'm real proud to know you, man. And it was a real honor to have you in here and get this interview and educate the world on what you're doing and how these predators are reaching our kids. And it's an honor to be your friend. Thank you. One last thing. If you did get anything out of this, please take 10 seconds out of your day and go to Spotify and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review and tell us what you got out of this. That helps the algorithm push these episodes farther. You get more reach, and this is a subject everybody needs to hear. Thank you. Ryan Montgomery, welcome to the Shawn Ryan Show, man.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor to have you. So I found a maybe a 30-second short on Instagram, and we'll get into that later, of you exposing, I believe it was a father who was exploiting his daughter in a bathtub. You had hacked in and exploited that. And so I reached out thinking, there's no way in hell this guy's going to give me the time of day, because it doesn't look like you're very active on the gram. And then I got you. So I'm just super excited to be here interviewing you right now. Dude, you are doing amazing things, saving who knows how many kids. You know, I mean, if you think of the impact of what you're doing, you know, and we'll get into it, you'll never know the full impact of how many kids that you've saved by kids smartening up about what they're doing online, parents smartening up about what their kids are doing online, and these pedophiles, right. You're going to put the fear of God in them.
Oh, for sure.
And so
that's the goal.
There's going to be less of them preying on these kids. So anyways, we'll get into all that stuff. I just wanted to say how excited I am about this.
Likewise, I'm very excited to be here, and it means the world to me, and especially that the reach that you have, the amount of parents that will be educated based on some of the stuff that we talk about here. That even if we save one kid, it's worth it.
Yes. So let me give you a little bit of an intro here. You're the #1 ranked ethical hacker in the world. You're a serial entrepreneur, cybersecurity professional, and now a child safety warrior with your company, 561 PC.
Not my 561 PC is not a company. My company is actually Pentester, which is a cybersecurity company, pentester.com. Okay. 561 PC is an organization that I created with my friend Dustin Lampros, or Scrappy. He's a professional MMA fighter.
We'll get into that soon. Mm-hmm. And your goal, protecting children and trying to make South Florida and the world a better place by catching one child predator at a time. That's a damn good goal. You go by 0 Day on Instagram. You're like a modern day vigilante. Just some stuff about your hacking life. 0 Day, code for a discovered security vulnerability with 0 days to fix the flaw. That's the meaning of it. 19 plus years hacking. You're self-taught, no college, no formal education. You claim to have imposter syndrome. You mentor and teach others on how to learn this trade. You've made money from working with Amazon, PayPal, and Facebook. And you say that hacking is the best decision you've ever made in your life. Sometimes you hack up to 10 hours a day.
Yeah, or more. But, working with some of those big companies there would be through bug bounty programs. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I'm not.
That was prior to us starting Pentester.com, which is a cybersecurity platform for small, medium-sized businesses at the moment, to make sure that they're safe online, to check for data leaks, to check where your face, where your identity is being broadcasted all over the internet, which goes hand in hand with what we're doing with predators, and sorry, got mixed up there.
It's all good. While you're thinking, every guest that comes on the show gets a gift.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Oh, wow.
There you go. Go ahead, open it up.
Got Vigilance Elite Gummy Bears.
That's right. Made in the USA, legal in all 50 states.
Gummy bear.
Right now.
And, wow, how did you find out about this?
We researched you.
Wow.
So I know you love Ritz cheese crackers. You eat, chicken tenders every day at noon at Burger King, and Campbell's soup every night before you go to bed.
I quit the Burger King. I now am on to Chick-fil-A at 12:30. I do eat Ritz Bits cheese crackers. Every single day. Campbell's chicken noodle soup. Actually, I walked 2 miles last night to Walmart. I could have Ubered, but I walked 2 miles last night to Walmart to get one single can of Campbell's chicken noodle soup. and didn't realize there was a microwave in the hotel room. So I even contemplated putting the metal can on the iron to heat it up so that, so that I could eat it last night.
You walked 2 miles for a can of Campbell's soup to heat it up on an iron.
For a 99-cent can of Campbell's soup, yep.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, if you come here again, I'll have that wait in your hotel room for you.
No, it's all right.
But so moving on in the interview, you have a interesting childhood, it sounds like, overcoming addiction. I want to get into your childhood, how you got into hacking, some of the stuff we can do to protect ourselves from hackers, what hackers are capable of. And then the second half of the interview, I want to get into all the stuff you're doing, catching these predators. I think that's very interesting. This is going to be one of the most informative interviews I've ever done. But keeping it light right off the bat, how did you get involved with Facebook and Amazon, and who is PayPal?
Okay, so that was actually what I was thinking about prior to you giving me the awesome gifts, what a bug bounty program is. So I don't personally own a bug bounty program, but I work with a team. I have a team of hackers that we all work together on projects. And to do that legally, there's things called bug bounties. So companies like Amazon, Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, all the huge companies out there, they offer a monetary value for a bug or a vulnerability that's found in their site. So what I mean by help protect these large organizations, it is through their bug bounty program. They may not be a direct client of the company, or some of them may be, but can't really talk about that publicly. But yes, I've helped protect all of the above.
So basically, this is like some type of a red cell program where you try to penetrate these big tech companies, and then they basically give you a reward if you reveal how you did it.
Right. So you have to you have to reveal how you did it. So let's say it's a informational bug. An informational bug could be you forgot that a page exists and it shows some of your employees' information. So that may be informational if it doesn't impact anything further than that. Whereas something very critical, like I could get access to your server or all the credit cards or all your clients attached to your company, that would be a critical vulnerability. And these companies are willing to pay depending on the severity of that vulnerability. So Apple, for example, if you were able to take over an iPhone, they'll pay you $1 million for something like that.
They'll pay you $1 million?
Yeah, $1 million for it. They call it a zero-click exploit, meaning I can send you something that you won't even know happened, and I have full access to your phone. $1 million bug bounty.
Have you done that before?
No, I haven't. I haven't personally found any bugs in the new iPhones. But if I did, I'd be sure to report it to Apple.
So what, if you don't mind me asking, what's the biggest bounty you've collected, and what was it for?
I can't tell you what it was for, but I could tell you how, because there's disclosures and there's non-disclosures. So I can't disclose the company or what the vulnerability was, but it was for over it was $128,000 in credit on a platform. I chose that over the cash.
Really? Mm-hmm. So these are good sized bounties.
Yeah.
How many bounties have you collected?
I don't know. Quite a bit. 100,
200?
But if you combine my team, hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, but that isn't what I focus on anymore. I focus on the cybersecurity business, which is all software, and that's a lot more guaranteed. Whereas bug bounty, there's nothing against people that do bug bounties, but it's not guaranteed revenue or income. It's you have to just keep taking shots at companies trying to find something and hope that you get paid, where there's no stability in that.
Gotcha.
There's bug bounty hunters that make $1 million, $2 million a year, but then the next year maybe they make 10 grand or less, or they spend 6 months on one project and they make $0. It's just not sustainable for me.
Gotcha.
So I started a company with my business partners, Rick, Shawn, and Dan. And like I said, it's called pentester.com. It's very simple. You just go to the site, you put in the name of your website, you press scan, and it does a preliminary scan, tells you what, basically if you have any like low-hanging fruit vulnerabilities and leaks, like passwords associated with your emails or your employees, and you can sign up for an account and do a more invasive scan that will give you a lot more information.
Interesting. Well, let's dive into your childhood.
Sure.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right outside of West Philadelphia in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and I lived there most of my life.
What were you into as a kid?
For the most part, I was a normal kid, but after 8th grade or so, or starting 8th grade, I started to meet the wrong people, and I was in the wrong places, doing the wrong things, and I met some people that were on drugs that were a little older than me, and I started to adapt, and I started to go to these. At that time, there was a rave scene in Philadelphia, and I really liked that. I loved going to the raves and doing drugs, and acting like a nut, and I was just a young kid that nobody knew and I never told anybody my age back then. To be honest with you, I was lying to people about my age back then. And those raves turned into doing ecstasy and other types of drugs at the raves. And I found out over time that I didn't really like the raves as much as I liked the drugs. And then I figured out that when I took something to come down from the ecstasy, that I actually liked what I was coming down from the ecstasy with more than I liked the ecstasy.
Really?
And, yeah, which was opiates. And that turned into a bigger problem.
Yeah, that can turn into a massive problem. Did you think you were a full-on addict?
At the time, yeah. I was in full belief that I was a drug addict. I was physically withdrawing from opiates at one point in my life. So yeah, I had every reason to believe that I was. And I don't know how far you want to go into it at this point, but there was a time where I realized that I went through a bad phase as a child, but I do know that addiction exists. I have a lot of it in my family, especially my dad's side, and I did some things to combat that. Because of those reasons. But me personally, I haven't used drugs or alcohol in a very long time, since I was a child, pretty much, and no drugs. But I wouldn't say that I'm in recovery either. I kind of moved away from that.
What was the family life like? Good family life? You close with your parents?
So I'm very close with my mom. My grandfather passed away a few years ago, and he was like a father to me. He raised me, the best father I could have asked for. I wouldn't know what a father's like without him. And he passed a few years ago, and it was very rough, but I was blessed to be there. I was with him when he passed, and he had a great life, and it was a great man. My mom is absolutely fantastic, has been supportive with me even at my absolute worst. And I put her through hell. As for my dad, he's been in and out of my life. During this interview, while we speak right now, he is currently in jail for something stupid. This time it was, drinking. I think he had an open container of alcohol and he stole some stuff from Kohl's. But my dad and I have some stepbrothers and sisters that I love, and he, when he's messed up on drugs and alcohol, he's not the best dad. So yeah. we go on and off talking to each other.
So from what I understand, you're a high school dropout.
I am, yeah.
What grade did you drop out?
Going into 10th grade.
Going into 10th grade,
yes.
So you have up to a 9th grade education.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
And you are the #1 ethical hacker in the world. How did you get into hacking?
It kind of just happened because I was very young, and it didn't just happen. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that happened in between it. But when I was very young, my grandparents had a computer at the house, and I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, AOL used to send floppy disks in the mail, and they give you a trial. And I remember the shape of the floppy disk, and I remember seeing the front of this desktop that my grandpa, I think he brought it home from work or something back then, and I remember seeing the shape of the floppy disk, and there was a little icon of it on the desktop computer. And I was like, I wonder what would happen if I put this floppy disk in the computer. And I saw the AOL logo from the mail show up on the computer screen. And it blew my mind as a kid. It blew my mind. I was like, how did that just happen?
How old are you?
I'm 29.
No, I mean, how old are you at this time?
I had to have been like 8, 9 years old at that time, maybe.
Okay.
And that blew my mind, and I wanted to know how it worked. From that point on, I just had this obsession with how do computers work? Why did that just come from a piece of cardboard and show up on the screen? And I just kept learning and learning about computers and learning, fixing computers and meeting people, that on the internet through AOL Instant Messenger and other apps. And then I found it actually started with a marketing community at first. People that were doing digital marketing back in the AOL days, so just spamming out massive amount of emails, like millions and millions of emails. But then in that community, there were some hackers, people that were writing automation tools and finding exploits and finding ways to convert on ads better and this and that. And I ran across this one guy who ended up going to prison later for hacking, I believe it was AT&T and a few other major cellular carriers. He stole some prepaid minutes, and back then prepaid minutes were a big deal. So he stole millions of dollars worth of prepaid minutes with his partner in crime, Edwin. Edwin was his partner, and the guy that I'm talking about is Robert Moore, and his hacker name, he went by Moore. And he ended up stealing these credits, and Edwin would go to these places all over, the malls and the small cell phone stores, and he would resell these credits for a cheaper price than the carriers would sell them for. So they sold, like I said, a ton of those, and Edwin decided to leave the country. He left the country. He was doing all this fancy stuff, private jets, yachts, hotels, girls, cars, doing it all, while Rob was sitting at home, hacking for this guy. This guy wasn't doing anything but selling the minutes. And then Rob, gets a knock on the door. It's the FBI, and they come in. They seize everything he has. Rob ends up, out of all of this, out of millions of dollars worth of sold minutes, Rob ends up with like 20 grand in profit and 2 years in federal prison. And they confiscated all of his stuff, everything that he had. And he gets out of prison. And Edwin's on the run. They finally get Edwin. I believe Edwin got like 10 years or something, which he deserves it, honestly. Because he took advantage of Rob in a weak point in Rob's life. He took advantage, and Rob is not meant for federal prison. He ended up there. But yeah, Rob is the person that, like I was saying with the instant messenger chats, Rob's the person that motivated me to learn about hacking and spent the time with me and showed me some things that, because there weren't learning sites like TryHackMe or GitHub.com or Stack Overflow or Google. None of that existed back then. So you couldn't look up, certain methodologies or hacking or how to do reconnaissance. It didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob gave me some pointers. It's not a cookie cutter thing. Hacking is very broad.
So let's backtrack real quick. How old? So I believe you said you started hacking at 10 years old.
11, yeah.
11
Turning
years
11,
old.
Yeah, about 11.
So
I would say 11.
At what point are you conversing with Moore?
Probably when I was 11. He might not have known I was 11, but
how did you find him?
Group chats, back in the AIM days.
How does that conversation go? Hey, I'm looking for some hackers to teach me a couple things.
No, I was marketing and interested. I was just active in the communities, and I knew what Rob was capable of. He could do some really cool stuff with a computer, and it was really just asking questions, And Rob and I got along so well, and I actually flew out to see him later in life to Washington State. I stayed with him for a week, but we kicked it off for some reason. I don't know what that reason was. I can't remember that far back, but Rob was the person that helped me at least get started in what I do today.
What were you wanting to hack in at 11?
I think I was more interested in just shutting people's internet connections off, like simple stuff, nothing crazy, and making money, marketing. It's, a lot of 11-year-olds would probably not think about selling things on the internet, but I wasn't making a ton of money as a kid. I didn't have rich parents or anything like that, and I wanted to make money ASAP. And I knew that digital marketing at like the groups that I was in, I was seeing all these people making fortunes selling. One example, we were selling acai weight loss berries, and it was a huge thing back in the day. And there was some affiliate marketers making 30 grand a day doing AOL spams, making millions of emails per day, making 30 grand a day on average. It would blow my mind. And I don't remember every specific about names and what programs they were on, like affiliate programs they were on back then, but I knew I wanted to be involved in that. And I thought that automating it and finding exploits in I guess websites or people's computers would enhance my profits, and it did. It definitely. But then all the money that I made there, all the money I made, it all went to drugs and doing dumb stuff. But I wouldn't take it back because I learned a lot. I grew up quick, and there's some benefits there and some things that aren't so good there. But
well, let's stick with childhood hacking. So, at what point in your childhood did you start making money doing this?
Probably 11, 12 years old. I was right into it.
I mean, how much money are we talking?
Couple grand here and there, which is a lot for a kid. Yeah.
That's a lot for a 12-year-old.
It felt like $1 billion to me.
And so, were you always an ethical hacker?
No.
What are some of the things that you've done that you've hacked into? What's one of the... Give us some examples.
So, I guess depends on what you want to know. Like people or organizations or both.
Let's go into all of it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I'm limited by what I could say here. I know there's a statute of limitations. I'm sure I'd be fine, but there's some things that I regret that I would take back. But there is one thing out there that's public. There's a rap song that mentions me about, are you familiar with crypto mining?
Yes.
Okay, so I hacked a ton of computers. I had a method. I won't explain the method because it still could work today, where I could infect computers with malware. And a lot of people that infect computers with malware, which is just people, if you don't know what malware is, it comes in various forms, but the type that I'm talking about is called a remote access Trojan. And that's like the equivalent of me standing in front of your computer with full access to it, and I can look through your webcam, I can control your keyboard, your mouse, look at your screen, do anything I want without you knowing that I'm there. And I infected a ton of computers, and instead of having the remote access Trojan functionality where I could I could take control of these computers, I decided to do crypto mining. So at that time it was just Bitcoin and Litecoin, and I had quite a bit of infected computers mining at all times. The thing that I did that was, if you could say nice, was that when the computer was idle, it would use 100% of the processor and the graphics card to mine the coins. And when the computer was in use, it would only use 20%. So they wouldn't, have a horrible experience with their computer just being bogged down the entire time. But that was, I guess... when Bitcoin started around that time.
So you had hacked into how many computers? 100?
Thousands.
Tens
of thousands. Yeah, probably tens of thousands.
And so all of these tens of thousands of computers are mining cryptocurrency and going into your account?
They were going into a pool. So pooled mining is a lot of people mining together, and then all of the whoever's putting in the most, I guess the reward is split based upon the contribution. So if you're contributing twice as much as me, you'll get twice as much of a profit. So it was all being sent to a specific pool offshores.
Why did that stop?
I have morals, and There was a situation that came up where obviously the bots, if let's say I had to change a pool or something went wrong, they had to be updated across the board. Every single bot would have to be updated to be pointed at a different address. I still had access to be able to do that, and I was in a community at that time with some bad people who wanted to, kind of buy access to my bots. And I wasn't okay with that. And it kind of lined up perfectly with another business opportunity that I had in life where I kind of just said, you know what, screw this, I'm done. I'm not taking the risk. If I get in trouble with what they call a botnet, if I get in trouble with this botnet, I'm doing a long time in prison. And it's not worth it to me. I can't get in trouble. And I stopped. I stopped on my own will. I didn't get caught. There was people that knew about it, hackers, they may not have known it was me. Now they know it's me, but at the time they didn't know that it was me. But no, I didn't get caught, and I'm past the statute of limitations. I didn't hurt anybody. Maybe your power bill went up a couple cents, but that's about it. Yeah, that was the extent of that specific hack.
Was that the one that was that the hack that changed you, that turned you into ethical, or was there?
I would say, yeah. I would say, yeah, because around that time I switched to doing cybersecurity and starting the other businesses that we're going to talk about. I would say, yeah. I never really thought of it till now, but I would say that's when I became an ethical hacker rather than a gray hat or a black hat hacker.
What is a gray hat hacker?
Gray hat is in between. So somebody that, for example, if I went to your website, I hacked your website and I sent you an email and said, hey, I found a vulnerability on your site. You could call, the FBI and say, hey, this guy just hacked my site and I didn't give him permission. Or you could say, thank you. That's a gray hat hacker.
And a black hat?
Black hat just, takes over your website, tells you, hey, you better pay me or I'm releasing all your information or deleting your site. And here's all the information about you and your wife and your family and everything, blah, 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 blah. Black hat hackers are, they're kind of ruthless.
So you're in the cryptocurrency business. Being a hacker, or you were, is this the way of the future? Are we going to, what do you think? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah. I mean, cybersecurity and keeping yourself protected on the internet is the future. If you're not paying attention to that now, and you're not seeing your browser that's warning you, the TV that's warning you, the constant news, the constant ransomware notices. If you haven't heard about the active breaches right now on all of these major websites and you're not doing anything about it, you really should start, because it is the future and it's only going to get more intense and it's only going to get more dangerous. And everything that you have, is attached to the internet. Everything. Unless you live out in the middle of nowhere with no internet connection, and even the power in your house is controlled by a remote switch. What if I turned off your power for a week and you live out in the middle of nowhere? You really have to take your security seriously. That's just a random thought, but it's a possibility.
I'm glad you brought that up, but I actually meant cryptocurrency. What's your opinion on cryptocurrency? Is it here to stay? It's very volatile.
Very volatile. I think that Bitcoin's here to stay.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you all in on Bitcoin?
Can't confirm or deny.
Would you like to see Bitcoin?
I would love to see Bitcoin hit the moon. It's doing well at this moment. It's around 30 grand. But I would love to see what it was projected to be at in the 100,000s, possibly $1 million a coin.
You think that's possible?
Absolutely. It was, when I started, it was only, maybe a couple dollars at the most per coin.
Damn. Well, what brought you to South Florida?
I started a marketing company to help people get into drug and alcohol rehab. And for anyone that's familiar with that topic, they're going to think, okay, well, he had a marketing company. He was doing a thing called patient brokering, which is a felony. And I was not doing that. I didn't even know what that was at the time. I just knew I could generate leads from the internet. And I started this company called The Treatment Source, which was just a website. They filled out a survey, and the survey would bring them to a 1-800 number if they had mental health or substance abuse. They changed the term, substance use issues. And I would then send those patients or clients to a drug and alcohol rehab in South Florida. And I was generating a ton of clients and doing really well with the internet marketing campaigns. And one day I get a call from a guy who says he was like, hey, you won't come to Fort Lauderdale Airport right now. And this is like, right when I'm waking up. And I was like, yeah, I will. Like, I was just, he thought I was joking. I called him a couple hours later. I booked my flight, and I was like, hey, I'm at the Fort Lauderdale airport. He didn't believe me. And he picks me up at the airport, and he was blown away that I even showed up there. But, I had just like a week's worth of stuff packed with me. And when I got back to his house, we were talking about, like the rehab business and, the marketing and all the intricacies of the industry. And we became good friends at that point. And I was thinking, well, why don't I start a rehab? Like maybe I could do this myself. If I can generate the business for a rehab, maybe we could do it together. So he was like, yeah, well, I own one now, obviously, because he was one of my customers at that time. And he decided to sell his shares in his rehab and use that to to invest into one with me. And we started a treatment center together. And I decided to move to Florida. So I went back to PA. I put my car on the back of a U-Haul, filled it up with all my stuff, drove down to Florida from Pennsylvania, and never looked back, and started a drug and alcohol and mental health facility.
How old are you at this point?
22.
You started a rehab at age 22?
Yeah, I think I was the youngest owners in the treatment world at that time, yeah.
Wow. So what was your motivation for this? Because you are, from our research, you are all about helping humans.
Yeah. So my motivation was, like I said earlier, that my family, my dad's side specifically, had some serious drug issues. Still dealing with them. I went through some serious drug issues. A lot of friends of mine have gone through drug issues or still going through drug issues. And I just, maybe I got this from my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, but I just love to help people. I don't know what it is. It makes me happy. And I guess, what would that be? Hospitality. Hospitality has always just been something that makes me happy.
Well, you had some pretty tragic experiences as well, if I remember correctly. Do you want to go into any of those?
Well, there's a lot of them. So are you talking more of the addiction side of things? Or
yeah, you had a couple friends die.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go ahead and stop right there, because I know a lot of these are quite long and they take quite a long time to upload. I know we're just kind of barely getting into the nitty gritty of just, who he is, how he came about. But it's fairly deep from what I've understood and from what people told me. So, this first part, usually just like all of them, aren't too intriguing. But, just building up the narrative to, the type of person he is and what he's doing now is the essential component of this whole show. So I hope you guys stick by for that. I'll be uploading that probably the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow I have the first screening of the first film I'm in. So yeah, I'm excited to go and see that. And I'll be won't be on the computer tomorrow, that's for sure. So I hope you guys have a wonderful one. Have a wonderful day tomorrow. Stay safe. And just have a wonderful day. And then I'll be coming back at you on Thursday. So till then, take care. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.